Welcome CNG 2012 to week 11, which we're checking out. Was it failovers and VMs, I believe. So let's go to the content. Everyone should be back from spring break. Going to week 11. We have the read. And let's see, when we go into Unit 9, and we start talking about failover clusters, what is backup for something else? A few other topics we talk about is roles for high availability, upgrading failover clusters, backup and restore, site-aware failover clusters, VM resiliency, virtual machine monitoring, and configuring virtual machine movement, live quick storage migration, export, import. Let's see, for failover clusters, once again, having this in your head, or at least laid out in a topology, really brings, I guess, an in-hands focus of how your domain works. And say if we had just one domain controller, what would happen if that domain controller was lost? Or if we had one, I guess a recent topic from last week would be DHCP server. What would happen if that DHCP server was taken offline? So you start to look at points of failure and addressing them within your systems. I guess our biggest failover where I work is the file servers, because all of our files have to be updated and kept online, because that's one of our biggest assets. Sure, the domain controller has a secondary, a backup, but for us it'd be keeping files available for people, since domain controller is already backed up, because a lot to kind of justify like risks at this point on that too. When we get into Hyper-V and virtual machines, they've come a long ways. In creating virtual machines alone, we have some virtual machines within Hyper-V in the server environment. And now, I guess a great example for this is when we look at implementing resiliency and node balance. You get into how easy it is it to take a snapshot of a VM and say that VM has a backup, and that backup to that VM is the snapshot that we took Sunday, or the full backups are snapshots, so it should be like a full backup and then a snapshot taken like on Sundays, on non-business days, to include that period. So here we have setting VM for resiliency, storage, virtual machine monitoring. And I guess even when you start talking about virtual machines in Hyper-V, virtual machines can start to live natively within the cloud, which even they start to be like headless virtual machines, where you're just having storage components or computing components of the machines themselves, and not necessarily the whole machine. Guest clustering, 2 or more VMs, virtual machine movement, importing, exporting, migration, quick migration, live migration, moving VMs around. In other environments, kind of going back to the hot, cold, and warm sites. What kind of environment are you going to build when you're out in the real world? Not a whole bunch of this is a setting that you're not really manipulating a lot, but it does take time to get the setting where you want, and then have it kind of run on its own and just kind of check on it. Not one of those things that you're going to devote a lot of time to watching, but you're going to say, okay, is this still running this month? Okay, I'm going to check it next month to make sure it's still running within that month. Live migrations, quick migrations, storage migrations, and it's getting easier to move virtual machines and virtual machines around. I remember for one of my projects in community college at Front Range, I put my virtual server on a flash drive and just had it running off of a USB. I don't even think it was a 2.0. I had my virtual machine running off a flash drive, and that's what I was using as my server. I wouldn't say it was a virtual machine. My server was running off my flash drive clear back then. Could have been a virtual machine at that point. Very well could be, since it was just on a flash drive and highly mobile at that point. It really was just utilizing the resources on the host machine to run. And with that, I think we're getting kind of close. Storage, hyperconverged storage. You start to learn about LUN storages, so PCing a whole storage pool, 2 different servers, and having that resource shared, instead of saying servers more or less get their own memory, storage, and then see what you see here, scale out the file server. So it looks like they're expanding outward from these servers, SD2, or these virtual machines. Can't really tell what that one is, but that's scaling. Looks like it's scaling horizontally outward, adding more machines, where scaling upward would be adding resources to those servers, but more of a cloud environment. And that's kind of the way everything's going right now, is a cloud environment where it's cheaper, more affordable than to have the bare metal machines and the metal machines themselves. Right, so with that, that's our look into advanced failover and VMs. VMs, way of the future. It's way cheaper now to have Amazon, Azure, Google supply you that virtual environment, and then you kind of manage the environment that they give you. With that, I'll let you guys go and have a good week 12 or week 11.